So you have here in 1 Samuel chapter 22, and I've entitled this Making Mighty. If you think about mighty, a lot of us may somehow surmise that the mighty maybe are born, or just some people seem to have it all. They know what it is to go out in strength. It's just they're naturally predispositioned to be a certain way. But I'd like to propose to you that that's not the way that things work in the kingdom. We're going to look at some men that have gathered themselves to David here in 1 Samuel 22. And I want to examine the condition of these men coming to him and look at them from their start, because that's not what they become later. So if you would, in 1 Samuel chapter 22, verse 1, it says, David therefore departed from there and escaped to the cave of Adullam. So when his brothers and all his father's house heard it, they went down there to him. And everyone who was in distress, everyone who was in debt, and everyone who was discontented gathered to him. So he became captain over them, and there were about 400 men with him. So you have David here in kind of an interesting situation. He's been on the run for a period of years. You have Saul that had been hunting him down ever since he knew that God had anointed him to be the next king of Israel. And you have him here on the run, and he encounters these men. And the Bible says here that everybody who was in distress, everyone who was in debt, and everyone who was discontented gathered to him. There's about 400 folks in all. That for whatever reason, these people were the ones that were drawn to David. Now, I don't know about you, but that's some good news, at least some hopeful news for somebody like me. Because I know what it's like to be in any one of those categories. And most any of us, when we come into a relationship with Jesus, could be coming to Him as a result of any one of those things happening in our lives. Now we're talking the raw goods here. This is just raw material. These are people that have been displaced. They've gotten in over their heads. They're lost. They don't know which way to go. And even those that have lived, even to a certain point, are slightly dissatisfied. There's still something bigger beckoning on the inside of them. And there was something about David that just caused these people to be drawn to this guy. I was reading a story about a sculptor had been chipping away at a huge block of stone. This other guy walks up and asks him, "So what are you sculpting?" The sculptor says, "Well, I'm actually sculpting an elephant." He goes, "Well, how do you do that?" And he says, the sculptor actually stopped chipping and thought about it for a second. And then he just replied, "Well, it's simple. You just chip away everything that doesn't look like an elephant." Most of you may not perceive yourselves to be mighty. Most of you may not see yourselves as doing something significant for the kingdom, or even just in life. But you're in a process, regardless of where you came in on, as being discontented, or maybe you were in distress, or maybe you were in debt, or you were in any of these things. God is in the process of chipping things away on the inside of you so that we resemble the mighty. God is involved in a process, whether you know it or not, in shaping you, molding you, conforming you to the likeness of His Son. My friend, the more that we're conformed, you're going to see some mighty things happen